Success is not complicated. It's not a mystery. It's not a secret code waiting to be cracked by the chosen few. It is simple, clear, predictable, but it is not convenient. And that is why most never taste it. Because they're not willing to be inconvenienced. They want the treasure without the trial, the power without the process, the crown without the calluses. But the truth is brutal in its simplicity. Success does not respond to desire. It responds to discipline. It doesn't show up for the hopeful. It shows up for the hungry, the ones willing to bleed for it in silence, the ones who trade convenience for consequence, the ones who show up when motivation dies and only mission remains. You see, the path to success is not hidden. It's just hard. And that's what filters the committed from the curious. That's what separates the amateurs from the architects. Because success is not complicated. You want better health? Eat with discipline, train with focus, sleep with intention. You want wealth? Solve real problems, master your craft, deliver uncommon value. You want peace? Cut toxic people, honor your word, stop betraying your own soul. We know what to do. We just don't like what it takes. Because what it takes will cost you. It will cost you your comfort, your distractions, your laziness, your need for approval, your obsession with ease. And most aren't willing to pay that price. So they search for a shortcut, a hack, a magic formula. And when they don't find it, they quit not because it was too hard, but because it was too inconvenient. Convenience is the killer of greatness. It whispers, you've done enough. You can skip today. You deserve a break. But the ones who rise, they hear that voice and keep moving anyway. Because they've decided. They've drawn a line. They've said, I don't need it to be easy. I need it to be worth it. So they show up, tired, unseen, uncelebrated. They show up when no one's watching. They do the reps. They say no to the things that make others clap and yes to the things that build legacy. They are not driven by convenience. They are driven by conviction. And conviction is forged in mindset, the foundation, the lens through which you see every obstacle, the filter that says, this pain is not punishment, it's preparation. This resistance is not a stop sign, a signal. This delay is not denial, it's development. Your mindset must be built like armor. Not cute quotes, not empty affirmations, but a code, a relentless internal agreement that says, I will not bow to ease. I will not surrender to average. I will not stop until what I see in my head exists in the world. Because if you don't own your mind, the world will lease it out to fear, to doubt, to comfort. And once your mind is compromised, so is your future. That's why belief matters. Not the belief others have in you, the belief you have in you. Because there will be days you are the only one who sees the vision. And on those days, you must carry it alone. You must protect it like fire in the rain. You must keep building when there's no evidence it will work. Because belief is the bridge between where you are and where you're going. And belief is not born from results. Belief is born from resistance. From every moment you could have quit but didn't. From every morning you rose again, despite the storm. From every quiet promise you kept to yourself. Success is not complicated, but it is reserved. Reserved for the ones who align their beliefs with their behavior. Who stop talking and start transforming. Who stop posting and start producing. Who stop waiting for a better time and realize now is all they've got. Now is the moment. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Not when it's easier. Now. Because success responds to urgency. And urgency is not panic. Urgency is clarity with speed. It's knowing what matters most and moving on it without hesitation. But most people never move. Not because they don't know, but because they're still waiting for it to feel right. Here's the truth. It won't feel right. It'll feel hard. It'll feel awkward. It'll feel inconvenient. And that's how you know it's the right thing. If it's convenient, it won't change you. If it's easy, it won't stretch you. If it's comfortable, it won't elevate you. You don't grow from what's painless. You grow from what's necessary. You grow when you stop asking, is this fun? And start asking, is this fruitful? Because success isn't built in dopamine. It's built in discipline. And discipline is the daily decision to become who your future requires. Because once discipline becomes your language, clarity becomes your compass. And clarity is power. It cuts through the noise. It silences the second guessing. It tells you exactly where to go when life tries to fog your windshield with fear and distraction. Clarity is not found, it is forged. Forged in solitude. Forged in silence. Forged when you're brutally honest enough to admit, I've been busy, but I haven't been effective. I've been moving, but I haven't been aligned. Because motion isn't progress. And speed means nothing if it's taking you in the wrong direction. That's why you must stop, strip back, and stare your life in the face. What are you doing that matters? Who are you becoming in the process? Are you chasing goals that look good? Or goals that feel right in your gut, deep in your soul? That's the work most avoid. Because clarity costs comfort. It forces you to admit that some things, some people, some habits, some patterns can't come with you. Clarity makes your yes sharper and your no sacred. It demands alignment over approval. It demands direction over speed. And once you have it, Tons, you can see that North Star with your own eyes, you act. You don't wait for confidence. You build confidence with action. Because action is the antidote to fear. Action is the cure for confusion. Action is the difference between the dreamers and the doers. You don't need more information. You need implementation. You need to stop hoarding knowledge like it's treasure and start deploying it like it's a weapon. The world doesn't need more thinkers. It needs more builders, more movers, more people who understand that hesitation is the slowest form of failure. And once you move once, you put your hands on the plow and your feet to the pavement, purpose awakens. Purpose doesn't wait on a perfect calling. Purpose is activated by execution, by doing the thing again and again until the why reveals itself in the doing. Purpose is not a path you find. It's a fire you build, and you build it through service, through mastery, through contribution so deep that the world shifts because you existed. Purpose is what you fight for when convenience would be easier. It's the voice that says, keep going when everyone else has stopped. It's the anchor that holds you in storms and the wind that carries you in silence. And when purpose, clarity, discipline, and action converge, you enter the realm of excellence. Not success. Excellence. Because success is a moment. Excellence is a standard. It's not about doing things well. It's about doing them with intention, with integrity, with intensity. Excellence doesn't ask, is this enough? It asks, is this my best? It doesn't settle for what's allowed. It reaches for what's rare. Excellence is the daily decision to live above the line, to do what most won't, for reasons they'll never understand. It is lonely. It is inconvenient, but it is where the legendary live. And if you want that life, if you want that impact, you must fall in love with the inconvenient. Because success is not complicated. It is simply a matter of how much you're willing to endure for who you're willing to become. Then brace yourself, because we are going deeper now, into the trenches, into the silence, into the sacred war between who you are and who you must become. Because once you choose excellence, once you choose discipline, once you stop asking for ease and start asking for truth, you will be tested. And this is where resilience enters the ring. Not the kind you post about, the kind you bleed for, the kind built in moments when no one sees you. When your hands are shaking and your faith is thin And everything in you screams, stop. But you don't. You breathe. You stand. You go again. Because success is not built by strength. It's built by stamina. Resilience is not how loud you roar, it's how long you endure. It's not about winning every round. It's about showing up to everyone, no matter how many hits you took in the last. It's easy to grind when it's working. It's easy to post when the numbers are climbing. But what about when nothing is happening? What about when no one's clapping? What about when the door stays shut and the silence gets loud? That's the forge. That's where you decide if you're here for praise or for purpose, for followers or for fire, for comfort or for contribution. And in that space, in that silent, invisible battlefield, you'll meet sacrifice. Because greatness will ask for something in return. It will ask for your laziness, your indecision, your scrolling, your comfort binge, your fake friendships, your victim story. And you'll have to lay them down. Not because you're being punished, because you're being reborn. You cannot carry both comfort and calling. One will break under the weight of the other. Sacrifice isn't about pain. It's about priority. It's the proof that your dream isn't just a wish, it's a non-negotiable. You want to rise? Something must fall. You want to ascend? Something must end. The old you, the small you, the easy you, the addicted to convenience version of you. He dies here. She lets go here, right now, because there is no room on the mountaintop for what held you in the valley. And once you've sacrificed what no longer serves you, you step into the rarest form of power inner mastery. The world will tell you mastery is about control. Control of your craft, your results, your circumstances. But real mastery, it's control of your inner world. It's the ability to stay centered while everything around you spins. It's the ability to act when you're afraid, to love when you're angry, to hold your ground when the pressure says fold. Inner mastery is what separates the driven from the destined. It's when you no longer react to life, you respond with precision. You speak with intention. You walk with alignment. You build with soul. And in this state, nothing owns you. Not your emotions, not your critics, not your failures, not even your success. Because you've already won the real war, the one inside. And now the world feels it. The room shifts when you enter. Not because you're loud, but because you're anchored. Not because you're perfect, but because you're whole. And this is the soul of it all. The truth that echoes beyond any goal, beyond any trophy. Success is not complicated. It's just not convenient. And most will choose comfort. But a few, a sacred few, will choose becoming. They'll rise. They'll sacrifice. They'll master. They'll endure. And when the world looks up and asks how, you won't say luck. You won't say timing. You'll say, I made a decision to live a life that mattered more than my comfort. You'll say, I chose inconvenience because the future version of me was worth it. Then stand tall, spirit steady, heart open, because this is the moment we finish what we started. This is not a conclusion. This is a declaration. This is not a summary. This is a summoning, a call to the part of you that's been silent for too long, a call to the warrior, the architect, the flame bearer inside you, the one who doesn't flinch when things get hard, the one who doesn't fold when life gets loud, the one who doesn't trade their calling for convenience, because now you see it. It was never complicated. It was never hidden. It was right in front of you the whole time. A path paved with truth, discipline, clarity, purpose, and fire. But that path, it was never meant to be comfortable. Because comfort is where dreams go to die quietly, where legends are lulled to sleep, where potential turns into regret. So you rise, not because it's easy, not because it's trendy, but because your spirit demanded more. You rise because ease is no longer your compass, excellence is. You rise because you've outgrown the excuses, the delay, the waiting for the right time. This is the right time because you are now the right person, the person who no longer needs approval, the person who no longer seeks permission, the person who doesn't just dream, but builds brick by brick, habit by habit, decision by decision, day after inconvenient day. And through the pain, the pressure, the price, you become free. Free from mediocrity. Free from the lie that you're not enough. Free from the systems that sedated your greatness. Because now, you've earned it. Not the spotlight, not the title, but something far more powerful. Self-respect. The rare kind. The kind that's built in private and seen in public. The kind that walks into any room and doesn't need to say a word. Because your life speaks louder. Your habits speak louder. Your standards speak louder. And so the world won't remember you for what you said. It will remember you for what you withstood, what you refused to quit on, what you became in the fire. Because in the end, that's the only thing that matters. Not what you hit. Not what you held, but who you became. And now, with nothing left to prove and everything left to give, you take your next step. Not fast, not frantic, but with finality, with fire, with certainty, because you no longer wait for life to hand you greatness. You forge it with blood, with truth, with urgency, with soul. And you whisper to yourself, one last time, success is not complicated. It's just not convenient. But I don't need convenience. I was born to rise. The world will tell you to chase it, run after it, hustle harder, grind longer, get there first. But success, real success, was never meant to be hunted down like prey. It's not something you sprint toward hoping to catch. It's something you become magnetic to. Because success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract. By the person you become, you don't chase it. You embody it. You don't earn it with noise. You attract it through alignment. You don't catch it by running faster. You invite it by rising higher. Because the universe doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to preparation. It answers clarity. It reflects identity. And when your life is in order, when your values are sharp, your habits are sacred, your mind is clean, your purpose is clear, you begin to attract the opportunities, the people, the energy, the wealth that match who you've become. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. So if you're not getting the outcomes you crave, don't chase harder. Change deeper. Upgrade the signal you're sending. Because life doesn't give you what you beg for. It gives you what you broadcast. If you want more, become more. Not more busy. Not more noisy. Not more visible. More disciplined. More refined. More powerful in your being. Because when you become valuable, the world rearranges itself to make room for you. And that starts with mindset. Not a motivational speech. Not a pump-up moment, but a fundamental rewiring of your internal identity. Mindset is the magnet. It's the foundation. It's the code you write into your system that says, I don't need to chase anything. I become everything I need to be. And what is mine will recognize me. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. The belief that you are no longer a seeker. You are a source. That what you attract is based on the clarity of your thoughts, the discipline of your routine, the alignment of your actions, and the gravity of your presence. And that presence, it comes from belief, not surface level belief, not I hope this works belief, but I know who I am belief. I know what I stand for belief. I no longer ask for success. I prepare for it. Because belief isn't shouting. It's not affirmations with no evidence. Belief is quiet, stable, built in the dark, forged in the decisions you keep long after the mood you made them in disappears. Belief is how you hold yourself. When no one's clapping, when the room is silent, when the results aren't visible yet. And belief leads to clarity. Clarity is the silent superpower of high performers. You don't need to move faster when you're clear. You need to move cleaner. You start cutting what doesn't match. You start walking away from good enough. You stop diluting your message just to be accepted. You stop running after what you were never meant to catch. Because when you're clear, you're no longer chasing random. You're building intentional. And with clarity comes vision, not just goals, but a felt future, a vivid, undeniable picture of the life that's waiting to be built. Once you align with who you really are, vision pulls. It magnetizes. It wakes you up at 5 a.m. and keeps you grounded at midnight. It simplifies your decisions. It quiets the noise. It kills distraction because vision is a filter. And when you know where you're going, you stop needing everyone's map. You stop asking for directions from people who've never been there. You stop explaining your destination to those who've never left the driveway. This is where discipline becomes non-negotiable. Discipline is not about suffering. It's about structure. It's about aligning your actions with your intentions consistently, because attraction requires rhythm. It requires congruence. It requires the humility to repeat the right thing every day until success can't ignore you. You stop negotiating with your potential. You stop waiting to feel like it. You stop deciding based on how tired you are. You move like someone who's already aligned. You act like someone who knows success is coming, not because you're lucky, but because you are ready. That kind of discipline builds gravitational pull. It turns you into someone success notices, not because you shouted louder, but because you sharpened yourself silently. And from that silent sharpening comes action, not the frantic kind, not the scattered kind, but intentional, relentless, precise movement, the kind of action that says, I don't just want it, I'm prepared to hold it. I've built the capacity. I've earned the structure. I've honored the process. Because the universe does not reward ambition. It rewards alignment. And action is the bridge between your identity and your outcome. So you move, not out of lack, but from clarity. Not from panic, but from power. You move not to chase, but to confirm who you've already decided to become. And the more aligned your actions are, the stronger your signal to success. Success is not a finish line. It's a frequency. And your job is to tune your entire life to that frequency so it can no longer miss you. And what sustains that frequency is not just strategy, it's gratitude. Because when you're grateful, you become magnetic. You're not bitter. You're not needy. You're not asking life to complete you. You're already full, already steady, already vibrating with the awareness that you have everything required to multiply what you've been given. Gratitude shifts your posture. It removes entitlement. It creates internal wealth before external wealth arrives. And from that posture, you become adaptable. Because aligned people don't need control. They need integrity. They don't fear change. They flow with purpose inside of it. They bend without breaking. They adjust without losing their center. Because their power isn't in the plan. It's in the principle they live by. The principle that says, I don't follow comfort, I follow alignment. I don't serve my feelings, I serve my future. I don't ask life to be easy. I ask it to meet me at the level of my standards. And when life pushes back, when the results stall, when the setbacks hit, when the journey stretches you, you don't retreat. You rise in resilience. Because you know, resilience isn't just surviving, it's refining. It's the art of staying grounded when the winds change. It's the decision to keep moving when motivation is gone. It's the fire that says, I will not be shaken. I will not be small. I will not disappear just because it's uncomfortable. This is where most quit, where most get tired of the silent days, where most go back to chasing. But not you. You stand. You stay. You sharpen. Because you weren't built to pursue endlessly. You were built to attract consistently. And that consistency, it builds evidence. And evidence builds belief. And belief rewrites your identity. Until the old version of you, the one who begged, who chased, who doubted, can no longer survive in the light of who you've become. Because now you're learning not just what to do, but who to be. Every day is a classroom. Every obstacle a mirror. Every delay a reminder that what's being built in you is just as important as what's coming to you. And you keep building, keep refining, keep aligning, because success is not to be pursued. It is to be attracted. And now you're the magnet. Then let's bring it home. Not with noise, but with clarity. Not with hype, but with truth. Not with a finish line, but with a new identity. Because by now you know, success doesn't belong to the fastest. It doesn't belong to the loudest. It doesn't belong to the most followed, the most liked, or the most seen. It belongs to the most aligned, the most disciplined, the most rooted. It belongs to the one who stopped asking for it and started becoming it. Because you are no longer the person who chases. You are the person who attracts, not with desperation, with direction, not with begging, with being. And when people see you now, they'll ask, how did you do it? How did you rise so calmly? How did everything start coming to you? And you'll smile, not out of arrogance, but out of peace, because they won't know what you know. That success wasn't waiting for you. It was watching you, watching how you moved when no one saw, watching how you aligned when it was hard, watching how you stayed when it got silent, watching how you built not just results, but resonance. And when your life began to echo with truth, with discipline, with clarity, with purpose, success had no choice. It couldn't ignore the signal anymore. It couldn't resist the pull. It couldn't say no to the person who had already become the version of themselves, who could sustain what they once chased. So now you walk differently, not hurried on, not desperate disciplined, not loud anchored, because you understand what few ever do. Success is not something outside of you. It is the inevitable reflection of the structure within you. So from this moment forward, don't pursue it. Prepare for it. Sharpen for it. Align for it. Become it. And let the world wonder how you stopped running and still ended up right where you were always meant to be. Success is not to be pursued. It is to be attracted. And now you are the attractor. You are the standard. You are the source. Now go, live it, walk it, be it, and never chase again. You think you need more time. You think you need more experience. You think you need more clarity, more money, more momentum, more confidence, but you don't. You need the courage to begin anyway. Because the truth that no one tells you is this: the moment you feel least ready is the exact moment your transformation begins. Not when you're prepared, not when you're certain, not when you feel qualified, but when you're uncomfortable, when you're exposed, when your hands are shaking and your mind is screaming, who do you think you are? That's when you move. That's when you start. Because waiting will steal everything from you. Waiting will dress itself up as wisdom, but it's just fear in disguise. Waiting will tell you it's being patient, but it's really just paralysis in a prettier outfit. You say, I'm not ready. But readiness isn't a feeling. It's a decision. It's the quiet, steady, unglamorous decision to take the first step, even when the entire staircase is hidden in fog. Everyone you admire, every leader, every success story, every transformation was built on uncertainty. They began when they didn't have it all together. They began when they had no proof it would work. They began when people laughed. They began when they were ignored. But they began because readiness comes through action, not before it. And if you need a sign, this is it. This is the moment where you stop using perfection as your prison. This is the moment where you bury the excuse of someday. This is the moment where you stop waiting for the fear to go away and instead move with the fear in your pocket, because fear isn't the enemy. Inaction is. Fear sharpens your edge. Fear wakes up your instincts. Fear is a compass. If it terrifies you, chances are it's exactly where you're supposed to go. But you've been tricked, told that fear means stop, told that discomfort means danger, told that readiness is a prerequisite. It's not. Readiness is revealed after you act, never before. So how do you start when you feel unqualified? You begin with mindset, because your thoughts are the architects of your future. And if your mind is built on doubt, your life will be built on delay. You have to take control of the story playing on loop inside your head, because right now it's not lack of skill that's stopping you. It's the belief that you're not enough. And belief is not inherited. It is constructed with every small win, every time you follow through, every time you prove to yourself, I may not feel ready, but I'm doing it anyway. That's how confidence is born. Not from magic, not from praise, but from personal evidence that you can handle what you once feared. Mindset is your launch pad, but belief is your fuel. Belief that what you desire is already yours if you're willing to meet it with action. Not half effort, not borrowed energy, but real, raw, relentless follow through. You don't become ready by wishing. You become ready by doing when it's hardest. Because every time you move while afraid, you reinforce a new identity. Not the one that waits, not the one that watches, but the one that acts with conviction. You stop calling yourself an imposter and start calling yourself in process. You stop asking for validation and start collecting proof of progress. And that mindset paired with clarity becomes unstoppable. You start saying no to what doesn't align. You start building a life that reflects your values, not your fears. You start moving in direction, not distraction. And once your mind and belief lock in, you don't need someone to save you. You save yourself. You wake up with vision. You show up with purpose. You execute with discipline, even on the days when you're tired, even on the days when you doubt, even on the days when you fail, because you understand the only failure is not starting. Everything else is feedback. Everything else is fuel. And the best part, once you really begin, life meets you halfway. The right people show up. The right doors open. The right opportunities appear, not because you waited for them, but because you became someone who could receive them. So if you feel least ready today, perfect. Now is the time. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when you finally feel brave. Now, because the best time to begin is when you feel least ready and you begin anyway. Because once you begin, truly begin, you stop being a spectator in your own life and start becoming the architect. You stop asking for permission. You stop looking sideways. You stop outsourcing your power to circumstances, to timing, to other people's opinions. You realize finally, it was never about readiness. It was always about willingness. Willingness to look foolish. Willingness to move in uncertainty. Willingness to act without applause. Willingness to show up without knowing exactly how it ends. That's where purpose finds you. Not in the safety of your comfort zone, but in the tension of pursuit. In the moments you're trembling, but still taking one more step. In the decisions you make that feel terrifying, but aligned. Purpose doesn't arrive like lightning. It reveals itself like a sunrise. A little more light each time you honor the call to move, to try, to become. And when purpose clicks into place, you stop working like you used to. You stop chasing dopamine and start chasing depth. You stop performing and start producing from your soul. You stop waking up trying to survive and start living like someone who was meant to matter. Because you are. You're not random. You're not replaceable. You are not a mistake waiting to feel ready. You are a blueprint of potential waiting to be activated through action. And once you realize that, discipline becomes devotion. You no longer wait for motivation. You move without it. You build rhythm. You build structure. You build standards that protect your energy, your time, your focus. Because you finally understand, discipline is how freedom is built. Not luck, not shortcuts, not hustle culture. Discipline, the quiet choices, the hard yes, the even harder no. The decision to do what's aligned over and over and over again, even when no one sees it, especially when no one sees it. And you do it not because it's glamorous, but because it's true. You begin to trust yourself in a way you never have before. And when trust is built internally, nothing external can shake you. Not rejection, not failure, not delay, because your character becomes stronger than your circumstances. That's resilience, not the kind that pretends everything's fine, but the kind that knows, I might bend today, but I won't break. I might fall, but I'll rise faster. I might doubt, but I never retreat. You move forward not because it's easy, but because you've decided there's no version of you worth going back to. You've outgrown the old identity. You've buried the excuses. You've stopped waiting for permission to become who you were born to be. And now you walk with fire, not just belief evidence, not just inspiration discipline, not just ideas results. You don't beg for change anymore. You embody it. And the world responds to people who live that way. It moves for the decisive. It rewards the committed. It follows the ones who begin when it's hardest, because those are the only ones worth following. You don't have to fake confidence anymore. You've earned it. You don't have to explain your vision anymore. You are it. You don't have to wonder if now is the time, because now is always the time. Especially when you feel like it's not. Especially when you're scared. Especially when the voices in your head scream, wait. Especially when the future looks bigger than you feel. That's when it matters most. That's where real strength is born. That's where the new you begins. Then this is where everything converges. Every doubt, every delay, every version of you that almost moved, almost started, almost believed, they all fade now. Because you are not almost anymore. You are becoming. You're stepping out of theory and into truth, out of hesitation and into momentum, out of someday and into right now. This is the beginning, not because the path is clear, but because you've decided to walk anyway. This is the birth of your next level, not because you're qualified, but because you're committed. This is the transformation. The one you've been waiting for, not outside of you, not in the world's timing, but in your choice to begin before you feel ready. Because this was never about being fearless. It was about moving despite the fear. It was never about having the perfect plan. It was about becoming the kind of person who adapts on the way. It was never about being chosen. It was about choosing yourself. And that choice, it changes everything. You start walking like the opportunity has already been assigned. You speak like the outcome is already aligned. You act like the world is already catching up to the decision you made in silence. You build your habits, your rhythm, your voice from the truth that you're no longer waiting to feel worthy. You already are. And now you build not just goals, not just routines. You build a new identity, forged in action, refined in discomfort, rooted in discipline, powered by clarity, driven by unshakable purpose. And when the world sees the shift, when they see you moving different, thinking different, becoming different, they'll ask you what changed. And you'll say, I started when I felt least ready, and I never stopped. Because that's the secret. That's the edge. That's the line that separates those who only think about becoming from those who actually do. You feel unqualified? Good. You feel nervous? Perfect. You feel stretched? That's the sign. Start there. Move from there. Build there. Because readiness is not your permission slip. It's your reward. And it only shows up after you move. So go. Build the life. Make the call. Write the book. Launch the vision. Say yes. Say now. Say, I'm done waiting. Because the best time to begin was never someday. It's now. It's always now. Especially when you feel least ready. And now that you know, you begin anyway. You can trade 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, and still live broke. Still feel stuck. Still feel invisible. Because the market does not pay you for your time. It pays you for your value. And until you understand that, truly understand it, you will keep wondering why the effort isn't enough. You'll keep grinding and waiting, grinding and hoping, grinding and resenting a world that doesn't reward time spent, it rewards value created. Let that sink in. Time is neutral. Everybody gets the same 24. The rich, the poor, the genius, the average, the legend, the forgotten. Same hours, different outcomes. Why? Because time is the canvas. Value is the art. Time is what you start with, but value is what you build. Value is what multiplies, what echoes, what commands compensation, attention, respect, and impact. And here's the hard truth. No one owes you anything just because you showed up. No one is coming to applaud your busyness. No one is impressed by your calendar. The world doesn't pay for how tired you are. It pays for what you deliver. So what are you delivering? What are you becoming in the hours you trade? Because if you don't raise your value, you'll keep fighting for crumbs. Not because you lack time, but because your time is not translated into impact. You see, people confuse time with work, but time doesn't equal effort. And effort doesn't equal effectiveness. It's not about how long you work. It's about what happens as a result of your work. What you shift, what you create, what you solve. And that's where mindset enters. Because if your mind still believes your value is tied to how many hours you log, you will never be free. You will stay enslaved to the illusion of progress. Running hard, earning little, busy, but broke, moving, but not multiplying. So you must start with this. Value is internal before it becomes external. It starts inside, in the way you think, the way you speak, the way you solve problems no one else can see. Because the market doesn't reward the loudest. It rewards the most useful, the most resourceful, the most dialed in, the most committed to bringing value that didn't exist before they showed up. That means you have to become valuable on purpose. Not accidentally, not occasionally. Every single day, you must add skill, add insight, add clarity. Because when you become more, you can deliver more. And that is the real formula. Don't ask, how much should I get paid for this hour? Ask, how much value can I build in this hour? How much can I solve in this hour? How can I make myself too useful to ignore? Because usefulness is magnetic, and rare value has no price tag. You don't chase pay, you attract it by becoming someone the world needs. So stop measuring your life in time. Start measuring it in impact. Stop counting the hours. Start making the hours count. Because when you raise your value, everything changes. Your income, your influence, your confidence, your freedom, everything. Because value doesn't rise by chance. It rises by choice. And that choice starts with your mindset. Because a low-value mind cannot produce high-value results. It cannot spot opportunity. It cannot command excellence. It cannot separate noise from signal. Your mindset is the filter through which you see everything. It decides whether you waste your time or multiply it, whether you complain about your circumstances or build something through them. If your mindset is built on limitation, your actions will shrink to match it. If your mindset is built on expansion, your results will stretch far beyond your current conditions. So, ask yourself, have I trained my mind to see value, to extract it, to deliver it? Because the raw material is everywhere. But it's your mind that determines whether you turn it into gold or waste it on excuses. And once your mindset is set to expansion, the next multiplier is learning. Not school, not passive intake. Real, aggressive learning. Intentional skill stacking. Relentless pursuit of understanding. The kind of learning that turns confusion into clarity and clarity into cash. The world doesn't need more information. It needs people who can organize it, simplify it, translate it, and use it. That's where value comes from. Because information is cheap. Insight is rare. Anyone can Google an answer. Very few can build a solution. Very few can see patterns others miss. Very few can think in frameworks, solve in models, and execute with precision. That is what learning gives you. That is what mastery delivers. Not trivia, but transformation. And the deeper you go into mastery, the more valuable you become. Because now you can solve better problems. And the market pays in direct proportion to the size of the problem you can solve. You want to earn more? Solve bigger problems. You want to be in demand? Solve faster. Solve deeper. Solve without drama. And to do that, you need one of the most underrated forms of value, emotional intelligence. Because skill gets you in the room. But how you manage your emotions, that's what keeps you there. That's what leads. That's what persuades. That's what multiplies your ability to influence, align, and deliver. Emotional intelligence is knowing how to be unshakable in chaos. How to manage pressure without projecting it. How to absorb feedback without crumbling. How to move through conflict without destruction. It is the invisible advantage. And the rarest people, the ones who rise fastest and stay there longest, are the ones who know themselves, who can lead others because they've already learned how to lead their own emotions. And once your mindset is strong, your skills are sharp. Your emotional intelligence is rooted. The final layer is systems, because even the most brilliant talent will drown in chaos. Even the most gifted mind will fail under clutter. Systems are what turn effort into outcomes. They're what take the raw potential and scale it. They're how you stop being reactive and start being inevitable. You can't afford to rely on memory or mood or feeling like it. You need rituals, automation, boundaries, rhythms. The higher your value, the tighter your system must be, because your time now matters more. And the only way to protect your value is to structure it. This is the real formula. Mindset sets the ceiling. Learning raises the floor. Skill solves the problem. Emotional intelligence connects it to people. Systems make it scalable. And that is how you become so valuable the market can't ignore you. Because once your value is rooted, scaled, and real, you stop chasing opportunity. You start magnetizing it. And when you reach that level, something shifts. You begin to see value not just as profit, but as purpose. You start realizing every moment you grow, every layer you master, every system you install, it's not just for income. It's for impact. And that realization brings you to gratitude. Not the soft kind, not the nice sounding empty word kind, but the kind of gratitude that grounds your power. That keeps your soul clean as your influence expands. That reminds you, you are not entitled to this moment. You've earned it, yes, but it's also been given, entrusted. And with that trust comes responsibility to keep showing up, to keep growing, to keep serving, to keep building value when no one's watching. Gratitude keeps your ego in check. It reminds you that yesterday's value is not enough for tomorrow's opportunity. That mastery is not a destination. It's a devotion. And in the tension of that gratitude, in the friction between what you've done and what's still possible, you develop resilience because value will be tested. There will be days when no one claps, when the solution doesn't work, when the effort returns empty. And in those moments, your value isn't measured by applause. It's measured by persistence. It's measured by the fact that you don't stop, that you show up with your tools, your craft, your energy. Anyway, you build when it's hard. You build when it's quiet. You build when the world tells you to wait, because you don't work for comfort. You don't work for attention. You work for legacy. And legacy isn't the fame they give you. It's the value you gave away that outlives you. It's what echoes when the lights are off and your name is no longer trending. Legacy is when people keep getting better because you existed. Legacy is when your systems outlive your schedule, when your words still shape minds after you're gone, when your value becomes a blueprint for someone else's freedom. That is what the market rewards. Not time, not effort, not noise, value. And value is built brick by brick, moment by moment, day by day, in silence, in struggle, in solitude, until one day it speaks so loudly, you don't have to. Because now you've become the type of person who doesn't get paid for time. You get paid for transformation, for clarity, for excellence, for value that moves the world forward. So when they ask you how you did it, how you rose above the noise, how you turned hours into impact, how you went from invisible to invaluable, you won't talk about how long it took. You'll say, I stopped counting the hours, and I started becoming the kind of person worth remembering. The marketplace is not your friend. It is not your enemy. It is not your parent, your therapist, or your cheerleader. The marketplace is a mirror, and it reflects back to you every single day one truth. You will be paid exactly in proportion to the value you bring, not your potential, not your effort, not your passion, value. The world is full of passionate people broke, talented people ignored, hardworking people overlooked, because effort alone is not currency. Results are. So if you want to rise, if you want to earn more, impact more, own more, you have one job: become more valuable. Not louder, not busier, valuable. Because the marketplace is not emotional. It doesn't care how long you've been trying. It doesn't care how much you want it. It doesn't care what your dream board says. It cares about output. It rewards transformation. It compensates those who solve problems. And that should not depress you. That should liberate you. Because it means your wealth, your freedom, your risate's not locked behind someone else's decision. It's not gated by approval. It's earned by evolution. If you don't like what the market is paying you right now, there's only one answer: become more valuable. So, what is value? It's usefulness. It's precision. It's mastery. It's the ability to make life easier, better, faster, richer for someone else. You want more money? make someone else more money. You want more trust? Deliver more transformation. You want more leverage? Build a skill that makes you unreplaceable. Because this world doesn't reward noise. It rewards effectiveness. It rewards those who get results, who move the needle, who matter. That doesn't happen by accident. It's built through study, through sweat, through standards. So stop asking for raises. Raise your standards. Stop hoping for recognition. Earn it in the silence of repetition. Stop wondering why others get paid more. Start understanding what they do more, know more, deliver more. Because value is not a gift. It's a decision. You decide to become someone the marketplace cannot ignore. You decide to outgrow your current paycheck. You decide to train when others chill, read when others scroll, build when others binge. And the beautiful thing? No one can stop you. Not your background, not your circumstances, not your age, your resume, or your past. Because the marketplace doesn't care where you started. It only cares what you bring to the table today. So bring excellence, bring precision, bring so much value that people feel it when you walk in the room, that they notice when you're not there, that they know if we lose this person, we lose momentum. That kind of value, it's rare, and rare things are expensive. So stop trying to be everywhere. Be essential somewhere. Own one thing so deeply, so fiercely, that no algorithm can outpace you, no AI can outsmart you, no competition can outlast you. You are not a commodity. You are not a cog. You are not here to blend in. You are here to dominate your space with depth. Because when you go deep, you become rare. And when you become rare, the market has no choice but to reward you. So build. Not your image, your impact. Not your follower count, your foundation. Not your brand first, your value first. Because if your value is deep, the brand will follow. The income will follow. The influence will follow. But if your brand is loud and your value is hollow, you will always be one trend away from irrelevance. So go to work on yourself. Not just your business, your mind. Not just your service, your standards. Not just your goals, your grit. Study your craft like a warrior. Sharpen your skill until it's so refined it cuts through confusion. Learn to listen deeply, solve clearly, and deliver consistently. Because value is not declared, it is demonstrated. And when you demonstrate it over and over again, you earn something no money can buy. Trust. Trust from clients. Trust from audiences. Trust from the market. And once you have trust, the gates of the marketplace swing wide open. Because once the gates open, once trust is established, you're not chasing business anymore. Business chases you. People don't ask what your rate is. They ask when you're available. They don't negotiate price. They fight for your time because they've seen it. They've felt it. The value you bring doesn't just solve a problem. It transcends the problem. It raises the room. It elevates the standard. It moves people. It makes them better, faster, wiser, more profitable, and that is priceless. So, no, the marketplace is not unfair. It is exact. It is precise. It pays exactly what you've earned, not what you hoped for, not what you think you're worth, but what you've proven you can produce. And that production, it doesn't start with talent. It starts with intention, with building, with mastery, with the kind of daily decisions that compound over years until your reputation outpaces your resume. This is where real wealth lives. Not in hype, not in overnight results, in undeniable value, in becoming so good they can't ignore you, forget you, or replace you. You want to rise? Then get serious. Get exceptional. Turn your mornings into missions. Turn your days into disciplines. Turn your results into reasons the world should pay you more. Because every dollar is a signal. Every check is a conversation. Every price is a story the marketplace is telling you about your current level of value. And if you don't like the story, rewrite it, rebuild it, reforge it, do more, do it better, do it deeper, do it until they whisper your name in rooms you haven't entered. Do it until your name becomes shorthand for results. Do it until your value outgrows the rate you charge and forces the world to pay attention. And then keep going. Because the moment you stop growing, the market finds someone else who didn't. Someone hungrier, sharper, more dangerous with their gift. Because that's what you must become. Dangerous, not to people, but to problems, to excuses, to limitations, to the version of you that wanted the reward without building the real substance underneath it. You've already tried shortcuts. You've already tried faking the image. You've already tried waiting for someone to discover you. Now it's time to build something so valuable, the world can't afford to ignore it. So stop asking for attention. Start commanding respect. Stop trying to sell yourself. Start serving so deeply that people sell for you. Because the real wealth is not in the pitch, it's in the proof. Not in how good your brand looks, but in how powerful your solution is. And when your work becomes a weapon of service, when your gift becomes a solution that solves pain, saves time, or creates income, you don't chase income. You become income. You are the product. You are the solution. You are the value. And that is a level nobody can take from you. No economy can destroy it. No follower count can measure it. No algorithm can suppress it. Because it wasn't given to you by trends, it was earned by transformation. So build, today, quietly, fiercely, deeply, because the marketplace only pays one thing value. And your job now is to become so valuable, the world has to rewrite the rules when you show up. Then let's bring this home not with noise, but with conviction. Because the truth has always been simple. The marketplace pays for value, so build it. Not with hype, not with shortcuts, not with ego, with work, with wisdom, with weight. Build it in your mornings when no one is watching. Build it in your habits when comfort begs you to rest. Build it in the books you read, the skills you sharpen, the people you serve, because you don't become valuable by accident. You become valuable by alignment. When your actions mirror your ambition, when your craft reflects your commitment, when your name becomes a promiseno, just a profile, and when that day comes, when the value you've built screams louder than any marketing ever could, you'll walk differently. You won't beg. You won't chase. You won't shrink. You'll stand. You'll command. You'll deliver, and the world will reward you accordingly. Not because you gamed the system, but because you outgrew it. Because you stopped asking, why aren't they paying me more? And started asking, how do I become so good they have no choice but to level up what they pay? That's the question that changes lives. That's the mindset that builds legacies. That's the energy that rewrites bloodlines. You're not here to be known. You're here to be needed, to become the one who shows up with answers, not just ambition, to become the one who builds when others rest, to become the one whose name gets passed from leader to leader, client to client, generation to generation, not because you're trendy, but because you're transformational. And yes, it will take time. It will cost comfort. It will demand your evolution. But what it gives you is so much more. It gives you power. It gives you peace. It gives you the rare ability to name your price, live on your terms, and walk in your truth. Because when you are valuable, truly, unshakably, undeniably valuable, you don't fear the future. You fund it. You build it. You lead it. You become the source of change. So from this moment forward, let this be your vow: to build value that cannot be ignored, to craft solutions that outlive the trend, to live a life so useful, so skilled, so deeply aligned with service and excellence, that the world cannot help but reward you. Build it, sharpen it, protect it, and never again ask what the market will give you. Ask what you are becoming in return for your time on this earth. Because the marketplace pays for value. And value, that's you built brick by brick, decision by decision, day by day, until you become a living, breathing, undeniable asset the world will never forget. Now go build it.